This week on the Kentuckiana Travel Ball Podcast, we are honored to have Coach Keith Madison. Coach Madison was a record-setting coach for 25 years for the University of Kentucky. He has been inducted into 3 Hall of Fames, the Kentucky High School Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame, the University of Kentucky Hall of Fame, and the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. And just recently, he was inducted into the Kentucky Sports Hall of Fame. Coach Madison is also the National Baseball Director for SCORE International and the publisher of Inside Pitch magazine, and he is the chairman for the American Baseball Coaches Association. We will also be announcing an exciting giveaway from GuardianBaseball.com. Guardian Baseball will be giving away a set of all-star catchers gear. The details will be in the podcast. Let's go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Kentuckiana Travel Ball Podcast. My name is T. Gridge. I'm your host, as always. I'm here with Rick Hines. What's up, Rick?
What's going on, Teague? I'm excited.
Hey, I tell you what, we've got an awesome episode for you today. Before we get into an extremely special guest that I'm jacked up about, I need to tell you about the Guardian giveaway. So our sponsors, GuardianBaseball.com, is going to give away a set of all-star catching gear. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a link that you can go in, you can fill out your info, you get a chance to win an elite set of baseball or softball catcher's gear. So the size, age, gender of the color of the gear, that will be determined by the winner. We'll all do this based on, basically who wins. Guardian will reach out to you. It's super jacked up about that. Thank you, All-Star. Thank you, Guardian. We'll get a little bit more into that here in a little bit, but I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get into our special guest. Today we have on Coach Keith Madison. I did his intro a little bit here before the podcast started, so I gave you a little bit of his background. Coach, how are you?
I'm great, Teague. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So congratulations. So you're already in 3 Hall of Fames, but it sounds like you just got inducted into a 4th, so the Kentucky Sports Hall of Fame. So when did you find out about that?
I found out about that probably 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. I had no idea I'd been nominated, and I was absolutely stunned. And I was even more stunned when I got off the phone and I started thinking, hey, who all's in this Hall of Fame? And, of course, it's the entire state of Kentucky, all sports. And I saw names like Pee Wee Reese and Muhammad Ali.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, wow. Maybe they got this wrong. Maybe they got the wrong guy here. I don't know.
Well, it's pretty cool. John Asher's on that list. I think there was a couple – a couple of pretty awesome names. Oh, another UK basketball player. Who was it? Dwayne
Casey.
Yeah,
he coached. He played at Kentucky. He coached basketball at Kentucky and also Western Kentucky. And now he's been in the NBA as a head coach for a long time and has done a fantastic job in the NBA. So he's going in. So Romeo Cornell.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Football player.
NFL football coach. So I'm excited about it. Look forward to it. I think the induction ceremony dinner is September 7th. So
pretty
really
cool.
Looking forward to part of that. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely well deserved. After doing some research on your bio and your background, Coach, it's certainly well deserved. Now we've met. Back in, several years ago when I was back in the golf industry, I had the pleasure of being able to run your golf scramble for SCORE International, which is an awesome organization, which I'm assuming you're still the national baseball director for, correct?
That's correct. I am.
I would like at some point for you to kind of explain to our listeners what SCORE does. It's pretty cool because it's and I'm going to talk to Rick here a little bit here, Coach. It's Dominican baseball outreach.
Right.
So basically, baseball guys, they go down, they do these mission trips, and I think the cool part of it, and Coach, tell me if I'm wrong here, the people that go down get more out of it probably than what they're given. They come back and they really understand. They're thankful for everything. I remember
How lucky we are.
Yeah, I think it was Coach McDonald. I forget exactly who it was, but he came back saying, hey, look, I get to get up and put on a different pair of shoes each day. I mean, it's just things you take for granted. you don't take those for granted anymore after you do on one of these mission trips. Am I selling this correctly, Coach?
Yeah, absolutely. Coach McDonald has taken his entire team down twice, and we spend about 4 or 5 days down there. And Coach McDonald actually invites the players' parents, grandparents to come. So I know one year we had about 80 people.
Wow.
Another year we had about 72.
Wow.
But it's a great trip in that we get to serve, and there's something very special that happens to anyone's heart who serves. And I think because of that, like you said, Teague, when we come back, we see all the things that we have going for us here in America more so and more appreciative than ever before. Just opening up the refrigerator, opening up your closet, and all of that. It's we don't realize how blessed we are in our country until we visit a third world country.
Right.
But Score International does much more than that. We also do domestic trips. Like I was in Harlan, Kentucky, because the coal industry is really, really struggling right now.
Sure.
The people in Eastern Kentucky are struggling. So, we went down there, put on a free baseball clinic, and we had a block party and gave away food and backpacks and all kinds of things. So it's a humanitarian, faith-based nonprofit, and we just encourage people to get involved. If you want to take your team, we've taken high school teams, travel teams, college teams. We also do a really neat outreach in November. I'm not going to be going this year, but I know Score will be doing this. I've done this 30 times, I think, where we actually take coaches down and we put on free clinics in the Dominican Republic. And we've had some phenomenal people go with us, including Dan McDonald and also Mariano Rivera, Andy Pettit, Andy Bennis, many people. But we also just have a lot of coaches like you and I that go down and help with these clinics, and we also take food to villages and things like that. But so anybody, I know you'll give my contact information. Anybody interested in doing anything like that, either here in the States, we do an outreach in Alabama, one in Eastern Kentucky, even one in Manhattan. Not Manhattan, I'm sorry, the Bronx. And so, we try to, and we do one in Utah. So we not only do international stuff, we also do stuff here in the States. So anyway,
I love it.
Yeah, we'd love to talk to people about that if they're interested.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're going to put that information out because there's really no better feeling than giving back, in my opinion, and then that's part of it. And doing that through a baseball engine's a pretty cool way to do it.
Exactly.
Now, so I'm a member of the American Baseball Coaches Association, and it has been an absolute blessing for me. So I played baseball through high school, but as a coach, my athletic abilities was more on the golf side. So I played golf professionally, and I can kind of bring that mindset. So I'm constantly, every day, I try to make myself a better coach in one form or fashion. And having that resource of being able to go watch those videos has been crazy. Now, I know you are the chairman of the ABCA, and I just want to make sure our listeners understand the value that offers people. I mean, to me, I've gotten so much out of it. There's so much value, so many resources. Talk to me a little bit about your affiliation with the ABCA.
Yeah, the American Baseball Coaches Association is one of the great honors I've had in my life, just being a part of that. And I've been on different committees as a younger coach, and then I served on the All-American committee. There's a lot of committees within the ABCA in all different levels of amateur baseball. And then I became president. And then when you're president, you rotate off from the executive committee to the board. And so I've served several years on the board of directors, and now I'm the chairman. And our current president is Dan McDonald.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. So it just seems like Dan and I do a lot of things together, which is strange because
U of L.
Kentucky, he coaches at U of L, and he just a side story. the first year he coached in Louisville, he had me come over and speak to his team. And I wish you could have seen the look of the players when I walked in their locker room. It was like, what is he doing?
I'm sure.
I mean, you didn't wear all that blue, did you?
Yeah. No, I didn't wear blue that day.
Coach, what's interesting, so when I was doing your Score International golf scramble, it was pretty split down the middle, UK, U of L guys, when we were doing it here at Oxmoor Country Club. So I always found that kind of interesting too, because Coach McDonald was always there and supported it. And, there seems like there's a good camaraderie there.
Exactly. And obviously when in any sport, when those two schools play against each other, the level of competition is off the charts.
Sure.
But I think it's really cool when the coaches and administrators and the fans can do something off the field or off the court for a higher purpose. And that's to either serve God or serve your fellow human beings. And I think we could do more working together in situations than we can always being apart. So that's really cool that we can work together like that. But you were talking about the ABCA. It was the same with me. The ABCA was such a huge encouragement to me as a coach, and also helped me learn a lot, because you mentioned the videos. I'm telling you, the videos you get from the ABCA is 100 times worth the fees that you pay to belong to the association.
Sure.
So I just think it's a great tool. I mean, you hear from coaches like Tim Corbin, Jim Schlossnagel, John Savage out in UCLA. I mean, just the top coaches.
The who's who.
Yeah, you name it.
The who's who.
They're on there.
Yeah. Great high school coaches too, and travel coaches. And one thing the ABCA has done recently, and I give our executive director, Craig Kylitz, all the credit for this, is he has really embraced travel baseball, which is smart.
It is smart.
There's so many travel teams. There's so many coaches that love the game, that want to grow in the game, just like college coaches and high school coaches do.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, and Rick and I fit that mold personally. I mean, that's what we're doing. We got into it. It's interesting. So we're in an organization where we are the only dad coaches. So the other coaches in our organization, and this is a 9U through 17U organization, are all paid guys that have either played collegiately, coached at the college level, or whatever it may be. We're the only dads. And it's interesting for us, because we need to make sure that we are teaching these kids the right things. But we've also seen the other side of that. There's some positives to being the dads too, because there's a little bit more reps that comes with that. There's some things there's some positives and some negatives, and we try to avoid the whole daddy ball stigma. But having the ABCA as a resource has been huge for me.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
So speaking of that, I watched one of your videos, and it was the ABCs of coaching. And one of the things that I am working on personally, that I have been pretty bad at in the past, that I'm trying to be better at, is having a positive attitude. And that's one of the things that you kind of really preach. I even heard you tell a story about a run-in you had with Coach Bill Curry. And there's a lot of things that I'm trying to do better as far as having a better attitude, setting a better example. We talk about our kids all the time. Talk about how a kid needs to have the right attitude, not throw their helmet.
Body language.
Body language. We do the body language talk all the time. But really and truthfully, we need to be talking about it from the coaches level too. I don't know that the coaches are held to the standard they need to be held at. So I'd really like to hear your thoughts on how to be a better coach when it comes to the whole attitude and the whole part of setting the right example.
Well, that's really good. We all need to have that attitude adjustment, and we need to look in the mirror and see where we stand. I think of John Maxwell, the leadership guru. He has said many times that success rises and falls with the leader, and I think what we've been through the last year and a half now with COVID-19, it really exposes leadership at many different levels. From politics to business to to education, and at every level. It exposes leadership, and some people really rose to the occasion during the pandemic, and they handled it well, and other people did not. And so I think coaches can learn from that, because if you just think you're a leader because you have the title coach in front of your name, that's not the case. In my opinion, we need to set an example every day. I mean, our players are constantly looking towards us, at us, and they're wanting to see something they can become.
Yep.
And I strongly believe that. And sometimes you don't think they're watching you, but they are watching you. And one of the incredible benefits of being a coach is not only can you teach these kids how to compete, not only can you teach them how to win, not only can you teach them the fundamentals of baseball, you can also teach them to become successful husbands, successful students,
Mm-hmm.
successful fathers, and successful citizens in our communities. So there's a tremendous responsibility. And right now, I can almost hear some people listening to this and saying, look, all I want to do is coach baseball. Well, it's sort of like that time when Charles Barkley said, I don't want to be anybody's role model.
Yeah.
Well, it's, Charles, I'm sorry, man, you are a role model.
Yep.
Just because God blessed you with tremendous athletic ability. And coaches have been blessed with the opportunity to have that title coach, and the responsibility comes with it. And you think of the hundreds of thousands of coaches in all sports at all different levels in our nation. And if we all approached being a coach, whether it's 9U, 12U, whatever age level it is, if we all approach that responsibility with a desire to make every player on our team not only a better baseball player, but a better person, we could literally make our country an even greater nation to live in.
Sure. What's interesting about that too is I try to stay away from church and state a little bit on here, Coach, but at the same time, the whole everything's political these days. And if both sides would work together more, we might have a much better country. So you mentioned a couple things there. Now, if you don't mind, I think this story is so neat, and I got a lot out of it. Can you tell the story of the Bill Curry story? So,
absolutely.
I love that story.
I remember that like it was yesterday, and it was back way back in the in the kind of early to mid 90s. But we had a really good club that year, and it's hard to believe, but back in that era of SEC baseball, it was really, really good as it is now. But for some reason, we did not have divisions in baseball then. So, I mean, we were all together.
So the SEC was just one big division.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was strong. So at this particular time, where I tell this story, just to give you a little background, LSU was number 1 in the league. I think Mississippi State was number 2. And then Kentucky, Auburn, Tennessee, maybe 4 other schools were just battling for that number 3 spot and to get even higher. And it was just a really good year for the league. We had, I don't know, 7, 8 teams in the top 25. But so I'm not going to name this school because I think I did when you heard the story, but I'm not going to do that now because
Gotcha.
I don't want to.
Fair enough.
I don't want to be derogatory.
Sure.
But at this particular time, we were going to play a school about 9 hours away, and they were in last place. And they were also, and this will be a part of the story, in the central time zone, and we're in the eastern time zone. So we go down, and back in those days, Teague, we played double headers on Saturday, single game on Sunday.
Yeah, so it wasn't your Friday, Saturday, Sundays.
Right, and we played every team in the league except for one. So we happened to get rained out on Saturday against the last place team in the league. That means we're gonna lose a game,
Lose your win.
Yeah, and so I remember thinking, hey, LSU and Mississippi State are playing each other, and we're playing this last place team. If they kind of beat up on each other and they
split
this team, man, we're going to be right there. So we go down and get rained out on Saturday. Sunday, we have a rain delay, and then we play a doubleheader, and we lost both games.
Okay.
It was absolutely horrible because I had sort of counted my chickens before they hatched, and I was feeling really good. Well, that long bus trip back from the Central Time Zone after a rain delay to Lexington was not fun. I mean, it was almost like my attitude was so bad. I was basically daring any player to say anything. I was just going to bark at them.
Well, I also heard you say in the story that you didn't want it to be. You wanted it to be miserable for the players.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted them to suffer because I just hated losing so badly. So we pull into the parking lot at Shelby Field, where the locker room was, and it was like 4 a.m. And I got up and I said, guys, I know some of you have 8 o'clock classes. You better be there because I'm going to check. And so that was my first little negative attitude thing. And then I didn't even go home. I went to my office, and I live about 15 miles out of town. I said, I want to check classes at 8 o'clock. I might as well stay here. So, I was tired. I was grumpy. And all day on Monday morning, all that morning, I was just thinking about how I can design a practice so these guys will understand how horrible it is to lose to the last place team.
Yeah.
And my attitude just got worse and worse until I became a miserable individual. So my office was, a couple of miles from the field. So I realized on my drive over to the field how horrible my attitude was. And I just felt miserable. And I remember actually praying, I need to, asking God to help me change this attitude. I pulled in the parking lot, and right next to me, Bill Curry, our football coach at the time, was pulling in. He gets out of his car the same time I do. And he looks at me and he said, Hey, Keith, man, I am so sorry. I read in the paper this morning that you guys dropped 2, and I know you needed those wins. And he said, I feel so bad for you. I almost feel like I lost a football game. And then he just stopped talking, and he looked at me, and he said, you look terrible. And I said,
thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot. And he said, man, he said, let me tell you something. If you go out to practice this afternoon and you look like you look right now, you're going to have the worst practice of the season. Is that what you want? And I said, no, Coach, absolutely not. He said, my advice to you, and he just started giving me a face-to-face. I felt like he was my coach. And he said, you need to go into that locker room, get your gear on, and you need to change. You need to make a drastic change in your attitude. So I really thought about that. And I went in, I changed clothes, and I threw away my practice plan, came up with a whole new practice plan in like 15 minutes.
Right.
We had a very short, very high energy practice. And once the guys saw that I wasn't going to hammer them, they had fun, and they just had an energy packed, purposeful practice, and it went great. And so the next day I pulled into the parking lot, and sure enough, Coach Curry pulled in next to me, and we got out. And he said, man, you guys had a really good practice yesterday. And I said, well, Coach, how do you know that? He said, well, I was up on the tower, and I could see your practice, and I know I was supposed to be watching my guys work out during their spring drills, but he said, you guys had so much energy, and there's so much positive stuff going on. I just watched you for a while. And I said, Coach, if it hadn't been for you, it would have been, like you said, the worst practice of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that following weekend, we played LSU. They were ranked number 1 in the nation, and we swept them.
Wow.
And I think if I had run into Coach Curry that day, maybe God did answer my prayer on the way to practice. But if I had run into him that day, we would have had a horrible practice, and I promise you, we would have been swept by LSU. But it just, we have to look at ourselves in the mirror. We have to evaluate ourselves. We have to sort of try to see what our players see, and we need to become the coach that we would have wanted to play for. And if we could do that, our players are going to learn more. They're going to enjoy baseball more. They're going to just be more excited about coming to the field each day, and they're going to grow and learn and just get better.
It's such a powerful story and powerful message because, and this is going to sound awful, but I've been that coach at 10 years old where I have 10-year-olds out there and I'm trying to feel like, all right, we lost the game we shouldn't have lost. I'm going to make this hard on them. And that's probably the wrong mentality, but there's a fine line there of wanting to make sure your team's better. And look, and I know you're not preaching this, Coach, because I don't think everything can be rah-rah. I don't think everything can be,
Exactly.
okay, you messed up. There's got to be accountability. So how do you find that fine line? That's where I've struggled with, especially at youth, is where do you find that middle ground?
And especially in travel ball where there is a tournament every weekend you can play in.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
you can lose and it'll be okay. We'll just play next weekend.
Right.
But you want them
Right.
to feel that loss and learn from it.
Absolutely.
And,
that's such a great point because one of the responsibilities you guys have as youth coaches, travel coaches, is to not only teach them how to play the game, but also how to have a winning attitude.
Correct.
And the thing that separates how I handle practice after that meeting with Coach Curry is, and also seeing the difference that it made, is if it has something to do with effort, absolutely. I'm going to let my team know about it, and we're going to have a practice that teaches them how to give a better effort. But if it just has to do with, hey, you know what, their pitcher was really good, and he was on, and we
struck out
squared
10 times,
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
happens.
But, we also played pretty well. We just faced a really, really good pitcher.
Sure.
That's baseball. That happens. Those kids don't need to be punished for that. They need to be encouraged. They need to. Here's a great point, I think, not because I make it, because I sort of lived it, but every one of us, every coach, every player, they need someone to believe in them. I can tell you the people in my life who believed in me, and they made a difference in my life. And we wouldn't be talking right now if those people hadn't believed in me. One of them was my Little League coach, who I stayed in touch with on a regular basis, excuse me, until the day he passed. He actually called me the day he passed. And we had that really tight, close relationship because my first year of organized baseball, I did not get a hit in Little League. I did not get one hit, but my coach stayed with me and he believed in me. He finally saw that, hey, this kid's got a pretty good arm and he may not be a good hitter, but he can pitch. And so he started training me as a pitcher. So there's a lot of things I could pull from that. One is one of the best roles, or one of the most important roles for a coach, is to determine what role each player is going to play. Who's going to play shortstop,
Sure.
Who's going to play center field, who's going to catch, who's going to pitch. Those are important decisions that coaches make. So I just really believe that every player on your team, every player on every team needs someone to believe in them. And if they don't get that, they're not going to have success. If they do get that, they have a chance.
Coach, how do you make sure the kids know that you believe in them? I mean, because I know, like on our team, I mean, all of our entire coaching staff believes in every kid. But how do you How do you portray?
that.
Yeah, how do you convey that?
I think that it's really hard to find time to do this because you're coaching a lot of kids and, you have so much time to practice. But as much as possible, spend one-on-one time with that kid. I'll give you an example. Let's say you got a shortstop that's struggling a little bit and he's lost his confidence a little bit.
Okay.
And I would encourage any coach to do this if it's a travel ball situation, especially kids that don't drive, kids that are younger than 16.
Right.
Call the parents and say, "Hey, can I have your son for an extra 20 minutes after practice?" And 98% of the time they're going to say, "Sure." Maybe you spend a little more time just hitting ground balls to him and coaching him up a little bit and going out and putting your arm around him and say, "Hey, that's what I'm talking about. You can do this. That's why I believe in you." Just be upfront with him and tell him, "Hey, you're my shortstop. I believe in you. I know you can do this. Nobody's perfect, but we're going to get better." If you have that kind of talk with kids, every kid on the team, a few times each season, it is going to make a difference.
Yeah.
I can identify the coaches in my life that believed in me, and also I can identify coaches in my life that didn't. And boy, that's a stark difference in the way, as somebody as old as I am now, I still feel that. I still remember the positive things. I remember the coaches that got in my face, which I needed at times, but at the same time, at the end of it, they put their arm around me and said, "Hey, if I didn't really believe in you, I wouldn't expect that much from you.
Mm-hmm.
I have
Right.
really high standards for you. And when you don't reach those standards, I'm going to let you know it. But I'm going to let you know it because I care."
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think that's fantastic.
Perfect,
And, and I do look as being a coach for these kids. I've tried some of that, but building these relationships with your players, even at this age, I think is super important. I mean, so I talk about it all the time. This is more than baseball; it's life. Life is hard, and failing happens in life, and it's not losing. There's always a lesson out of every loss, and we really try to portray that. But at the same time, Coach, I'm always trying to get better to give that message, to make sure that they understand that we care and that, hey, and I told them at the end of the season, look, I'm here for you guys for the rest of your life. I mean, if it comes, you need a job, you need somebody to help you for this and that, I am here for you. I'm not just your baseball coach. I want to be a leader and a mentor for you forever. And that's something I admire out of you, Coach, is you mentor so many people. There's so many of your ex-players that really look up to you, think of you as their mentor, and I'm trying to figure out how to fill those shoes. So whatever advice you can give there would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think it's incredible that you want to do that because in today's game, and I love baseball. I love it. I mean, I've been playing baseball since I was since I was big enough to throw a ball. And I put on a uniform, which sounds weird to people in other sports, but I put on a uniform for many, many years after I got to play. And so I obviously love the game. But, the thing that lasts forever is not teaching a kid how to throw a changeup or how to make a backhand play or how to square up a ball. It's all those things are very, very important. But those relationships last for a lifetime. So even though you're going to spend 90% of your time making that kid a better baseball player, we really, really need to take 10% of that time we spend with them and help them know that we believe in them. Let them know that we're in their corner. Let them know that there's things that are really more important than baseball. And that's family, friends, relationships, faith, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we put so much emphasis on playing the game perfectly that we also put so much pressure on the kids that they can't form perform up to their capability because of the pressure. In all my times that I've gone to the Dominican Republic, those kids down there play every day, and it's not organized really. I mean, they just get together and play pickup games in some rundown baseball field, but they do it every day. And I watch those kids play in games when we take teams down to compete against them, and they play with so much more freedom and relaxation. They're just loose. And our kids, and it's obvious to me when I get them both on the same field, American kids, Dominican kids, our kids are more rigid. They're sort of stiff because they're afraid they're going to make a mistake. And you know what? Every once in a while, you got to get picked off, because if you're going to take that extra base, you got to gamble a little bit. You got to play freedom. You got to be confident. And that's one of the things that the Dominican kids excel in. They get picked off sometimes, but and as hitters, man, I mean, they're not getting cheated at the plate.
No, that's true.
They're trying to crush the ball every time. Or they're going to strike out a little bit, but they're also going to square some up. And so they just play with that freedom. Whereas we're not always, but many of our kids play with that rigidity that comes from
pressure and that anxiety.
Pressure. Yeah. I mean, you know what? Mike Trout's not perfect. He is awesome.
Nope.
He is not perfect. He makes mistakes.
I was at a live game of Mike Trout's, and he dropped a routine fly ball to center field.
Yeah. So, we don't need to get too uptight when our kids do that, and they don't need to get too up. They need to care, and they need to get better, but they don't need to feel like they're carrying the weight of the world on them.
It's a great point. And honestly, as coaches, I think you can put the weight of the world on them sometimes.
Right.
And I know that I've done that to kids. And to me, about being a good coach is being aware of that, because I think, Coach, you'll agree with me here. You're going to make mistakes, especially all of us do. That's life.
Physical and mental.
But being able to learn from those mistakes and trying to get better at your craft every day, those are the teams that I feel like kind of set themselves apart. And this travel world is nuts. And I don't know how much you know about it, but man, I tell you, it's cutthroat at times. It's you hear a lot of parents yelling at kids, a lot of coaches yelling at kids. And it's an interesting world, but there's a lot of passion, and the good outweighs the bad, and that's the one thing I always want to portray. Is I really think the good outweighs the bad. I really do, or we wouldn't be doing it. But at the same time, I think people listening to people like you who've done it at such a high level, and everybody who's ever played for you respects you, not only as a coach but as a person. And to me, that's what's important, and I really want to make sure that's my legacy when I'm done with coaching, whatever it may be. That's why I'm always trying to listen to guys like you, Coach, and I appreciate everything you've preached, because that's what I'm trying to instill in my style and the way I coach as well.
Well, and Coach Madison's lucky. He still has baseball in his life. We might not have baseball in our life.
Sure.
Who knows how long.
Sure.
It might end next year. It might end 2 years from now. But we're still going to be there as people, and so are these kids.
Right.
Baseball might not always be there for them either, but they're going to develop into young adults and eventually be the leaders of our state, country, so forth.
That's right. And even if you coach 5 years, you're going to have more impact on young people than 96, 97% of all the other people in the country. So that's why I say, be willing to take that responsibility because some of the kids you coach, there may not be a father in their life.
Yep.
They may not even have an older brother. So they're looking to you for guidance. How do I become a man? And that's a huge responsibility, but you know what? It's rewarding, because when I look back on my players and some of the guys that I really thought were knuckleheads at the time, and I had to stay on a lot. Man, those guys stay in touch with me more than any of the others, because I probably spent more time with them, and it's so much fun to see them grow and mature and become good husbands, become good fathers. And not every former player that I've had is that. I'm not saying that, but most of them are. And man, what a joy it is to see that. And every coach listening can be a part, a part of the good part of their players' lives.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Coach. Well, and I've always kind of preached that your better teams, it comes from coaching. And I feel like this is a big piece of it. People may know more baseball than someone else, but
Right.
if you don't do it the right way, I don't know that it's going to matter. So speaking
That's
of baseball, what was your favorite drill ever? So every week we try to give a little value. So give us a drill that we can use while we're out here with our youth teams.
Well, this is a very simple drill. I don't even know if you can call it a drill. I think you'd probably call it more of a piece of practice. And every team that practices, they usually start off, stretching and then throwing to get loose, and then going into the practice. And one year we made a ton of throwing errors.
Okay.
And it drove me nuts. And we also, not only making throwing errors, we were making those mental mistakes of missing the cutoff man. And most of the mistakes we made this particular year, and it was not a good year, were due to not throwing accurately. So I wanted to correct that. And so the first day of practice, I said, guys, we're going to throw with a purpose. We're not going to just throw to get loose. So I lined up half the players on the foul line, and I started the other half of the players about 50 feet away.
Okay.
And you obviously adjust this depending on the age of your players. And I said, we're going to throw 3 minutes from this distance, and then we're going to throw 3 minutes from 70 feet, and then we're going to throw 3 minutes from 90 feet. And every ball that touches the ground, we're going to run a sprint. And I know travel ball is different. For me, I had the whole scholarship thing hanging over their heads.
Sure.
Plus, I had the lineup hanging over their heads.
Sure.
But playing time and all that. But I'm going to tell you, the first day, there were so many balls being thrown away or dropped. And part of this is catching too. Move your feet when you catch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just reach for the ball. This is a throwing drill. We're not just using, we're not just exercising. We want to get something out of it, because this became one of the most important parts of my practice. So I wanted that throwing time to be considered as important as the hitting time. Now, the players are probably never going to see it that way, but you can get them to see it a little more that way. So we dropped so many balls that first day that we couldn't run all the sprints. I mean, the guys were too gassed.
Right.
We had to pick it up. So after we stretched the next day, we finished running the sprints from the day before, and then we threw, and we dropped fewer balls, but we still had to run a lot. And listen to this. The last day of practice before our first game, we dropped one ball. Instead of dropping 25 balls, we dropped one ball.
Because you did that every practice, and it just became part of it.
And we took it serious.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys worked at it. They worked at catching the ball. They worked at throwing the ball accurately. We're throwing the ball to your catcher's chest. And we want to make an accurate throw every time. And not only that, our arms got stronger, because when you throw in a more disciplined way and you throw, you long toss and stretch it out, and you're throwing at different distances, like a second baseman, most of his throws are a different distance than the shortstop's throws.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're practicing throwing from different distances every day. And we don't throw from the same distance with every throw we make in baseball. So we just became more accurate. Our arms became stronger.
More conditioned, all those sprints.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in shape. But I'm not saying that you have to, at the college level, guys, you can do that. Maybe you do a reward thing with them. I don't know how you do it, but you've got to make that throwing drill, and I'm not even going to call it warm up anymore. It's a throwing drill. You got to make it a part of the practice, not just something you do to get ready for practice.
I love it.
And if you do that, you're going to cut down on errors. Your arms are going to get stronger, because there's something about throwing accurately that makes your arm stronger than just throwing, not caring where it goes. And there's some people that disagree with that, but I saw it work on my team.
So it seems so simple, right? Pitch and catch. But that's the teams that do it. The teams that do it better are the ones that win.
Yeah, pitch and catch.
Yeah,
that's all it is. Simple game, right?
It is a simple game. The first time I ever heard that, I was in AAA, and we made like 3 errors in a game, and our manager came to us and said, "Hey guys, you're making this game too hard. It's a simple game of pitch and catch," and it really is defensively, and so we need to spend some time doing that thing that's so important. And I think we're going to win more games. We're going to grow our players. They're going to gain arm strength, and they're going to become better defensive players.
I love it. It's certainly something. We just do it just to warm up. We need to do it a little bit more purposefully.
Well, and you hear from the high level guys, warm up with a purpose.
Right.
That, don't even call it warm-ups. Like he said, it's a drill. It's part of practice. Warm-ups are part of practice.
And here's another thing, guys. If you got just a minute, I'll share this with you, because I think it helped me and it helped our team. We started coming up with a lot of arm soreness, because we would do this throwing drill at the beginning of practice after we stretched. And then we might do something else. Then we might hit for 40 minutes. And then we might work on first and thirds or bunt defenses. And our catchers and our infielders were constantly, getting, their arms were cooling off and then heating up again. And there's only so many times you can do that before your arm gets sore. So what I started doing is I started doing all of our defensive drills right after our throwing drill, and then hit last. Or sometimes we would even hit first, or we would stretch, work on base running, and then hit, and then throw.
Gotcha.
And work on our defense. And that way we're only warming up one time. And we had fewer sore arms when we started doing that.
That makes sense.
Keep all the throwing in one.
Yeah.
Yes.
One time.
Yes. It's all about practice organization.
That makes a ton of sense. And again, practice organization is another huge topic that we need to dive in at some point too, because a lot of guys just roll them out there and just start banging balls at them. But you need to practice with a purpose and with a game plan. That's always something too.
The more organized you are in practice, the more respect your players and the parents will have in you as a coach, because they're just going, hey, this guy really cares. He's put some thought into this. He's got a plan, and it's a plan for success. And I really believe that the more organized you are in practice, and I'm not, from my nature is not to be highly organized, but I worked for a guy named Ron Polk when I first started coaching college ball, and he was the most organized human being I'd ever been around. And some of that rubbed off on me, because I saw the confidence that it gave the players. So not only do you get respect from the players and the parents, you also help build confidence in them as a team, because they're going to go into every game feeling more prepared.
Yep. Yeah, I heard I played a little bit of golf with Chris Redman, and one of his things with Bobby Petrino was they used to practice the first 7 plays they were going to do like crazy.
Yeah.
He said we felt like we were going to score that first series every time because we were ready and we knew exactly what we were going to do. And that's something that from a baseball perspective, the more organized you are when you roll out there, I think the more confident the kids are.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to script a baseball game.
It is.
You never know if a kid's going to hit the ball or, whatever, but you can be prepared, and that's big.
Coach, I can't thank you enough. I hope people really listen to this podcast and really take something out of this, because I know for me, hearing you speak has been something that has completely changed the way I approach coaching. So I can't thank you enough for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome. And I would really appreciate too if you guys could share that ABCA website so that more coaches can become members,
Yep.
more coaches can see those videos, and it's just going to help. It's just going to help kids.
Hey, speaking of that, so part of your membership to the ABCA, you get the Inside Pitch magazine, which you're actually the publisher of, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
I love that magazine.
We started that magazine, I don't know, 12 years ago. And it's been a labor of love. And Adam Revelette, he's kind of our quarterback of that magazine. I'm the publisher, but man, he does so much work and he's really good at it. And he comes up with the ideas along with myself. And we talk to coaches that we really have confidence in.
Sure.
And so it's fun. It's good. Yeah.
Well, I get a ton out of that magazine. So that's another piece of your membership. So I will certainly share that. I've promoted this quite a bit during the podcast, and I hope people are listening because it is a huge value.
And
yeah, that's great.
And the national convention, we're in the Louisville, Kentucky area. It's pretty close the next couple of years, Chicago, Illinois, and then Nashville, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
if you're close and you're in the area, I'm sure it's worth it.
And if you love baseball, it's like baseball heaven.
Yep. Yeah. So Rick, we need to make sure we go this year. I did the virtual one this year because of the whole pandemic, but
Chicago.
I'm excited. And it was supposed to be at Nashville, I think, this past year, but
no, it's going to be in Washington D.C.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, regardless, I'm excited to potentially go and do this in person one day.
Yeah, it's going to be in Chicago, and then Nashville, and then I think actually Las Vegas, which is a little scary. But
there you go. That is a little scary. It's a little scary. Coach, thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
So that was Coach Keith Madison. He was the University of Kentucky coach for 25 years. He holds every record there is to hold there as a coach.
Got a statue up there.
Yeah, he's got a statue. Man, that's pretty good, right?
He's awesome.
A lot of good stuff there.
Talk to him for hours.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about Coach Madison. He's such a good person. He's a better person than he is a coach.
Probably.
And I think it's like, and it's hard to do with his credentials.
He was a really good coach.
Yeah, so pretty awesome stuff there. Yeah. Now, so we have a catcher named Jacob. And his gear was kind of, I don't know, a little wobbly, falling off a little bit. So what he did is he went into the Guardian showroom. Mm-hmm. And he talked to a couple of the baseball people there, because it's all baseball people, and he said, hey, I need some new gear. And so what they ended up doing is they set him up with a set of all-star catcher's gear. This stuff is sharp, man. Yeah, it's great looking. It fits right. It's just really, really, really good stuff.
He got the navy blue to match the uniform.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome looking. Yeah. So, and he's had a lot more confidence in it. He uses it a little bit more to block with. Right. So it's pretty cool. So we're really, really super excited that Guardian is giving away a set of all-star catcher's gear. So what you got to do is we're going to provide a link in all of our different stuff. So you'll find it either in the Apple descriptions or the Facebook descriptions. Go to this link, sign up. You can use it for either softball or baseball gear. The size, the age, the gender, all of that will be based on who wins. So please do yourself a favor and go sign up and win this All-Star catcher's gear, because it's awesome.
I mean, do they have adult sizes?
Yeah, because they're big. They're big with college, and actually, I think they even do pro stuff.
So this can appeal to everybody.
It can appeal to anybody and everybody. Right. Let's talk about tryouts, Rick. So we haven't had ours yet. No. The other thing I want to do is I want to talk about what our potential need is at our team. So everybody's tryout's different, and I tell you what, man, it's crazy right now seeing all the movement.
Well, this time of year is always crazy, right? In the travel ball world, you got teams folding, you got new teams coming about. New coaches, and
it's wild.
Parents taking their kid and forming their new team. So it's always interesting how it always shakes out every year.
It's wild. So our tryouts for our particular Rising 12U team will be on Tuesday, July 28th. That's right. Hope so. Bulls tryouts start on Tuesday. Yeah. We're looking for a kid that can pitch, that might be able to catch a little bit. We've got a great catcher, but Mike could slot in there as a second catcher. We're all about speed. We love kids that can run.
Versatility.
Versatility.
But they have to pitch.
We have to have a pitcher.
They got to pitch pretty good.
The good news about us, and man, I tell you what, I'm not losing any sleep, is we're not dealing with the whole drama of kids leaving and the whole, shopping other teams. Yeah. Our team's coming back, which hopefully says a lot, that all the kids want to come back and play for us again. So we're excited about that. And the more advice that I've gotten is that you keep your age. So if you're at 10, the best number of kids is 10. If you're at 11 years old, the best number of kids to have is 11. When you get to 12, the best numbers to have 12, 13, and so on. Yeah. So
we're looking. Interesting thought.
It is an interesting thought. Yeah. But the more people I talk to who have done this at a high level feel really strongly about that. So we're looking to potentially carry 12 this year. So we'll see what happens. If you're interested and you've got a kid in that age range, we'd love to give them a look. You can try out at wolvesbaseball.org/tryouts. Rick, what else? We're going to roll this thing out?
Yeah, let's roll it out.
All right, so as you guys know, I'm doing this whole music thing. I've gotten a lot of compliments on the music stuff at the end. So I was a past musician, and I was in a couple different bands that had done really well. The first band that I was in that did really well was a band called Breckinridge, and we had a song that was it got onto the active rock charts. It was a heat seeker in the Billboard charts. It was really cool. It was a song called Honesty that did really, really well. So for the first time, I'm going to play one of my songs, see what you guys think. So this song that I'm going to roll you out with was Breckinridge, Honesty. Again, thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget about the Guardian giveaway. Sign up for that All-Star Catchers gear. And we'll be back with you with another great guest coming up here next week.
Sounds great.
Okay, if I break down and go insane, disgrace my name, well, I can't bear the pain. My face is showing all my emotion. This mind don't care, and it can feel nothing but despair. The fact is, I believe that I don't need you anyway. I can't take it back to the Is it okay if I break down and go insane, disgrace my name?